I never thought I'd be one of those guys who'd get blindsided like this. Jard and I had been friends for years, practically brothers, and I always thought I knew everything about my wife, Sarah. We'd been together for about 5 years, and honestly, I considered myself pretty good at reading her. She's got that sharp, bitchy edge that she's always hiding behind her fake smiles and quick excuses. But she's also beautiful, charming, and when she's not being a total asshole, she's fun to be around. We were supposed to get married in a month, and honestly, everything seemed perfect until the morning of the wedding. That morning, I woke up feeling excited, anxious even, but also proud that I was about to make a lifelong commitment. Sarah was acting strange, but in her usual bitchy, dismissive way, snapping at me about the last-minute details, brushing off my questions, and rushing around like she was already done with the wedding. I figured she was just stressed, which was normal for her. She's always been a control freak, and I figured that's what this was. But then I noticed she'd vanished before I even woke up. I called her name, but no answer. I went to her side of the house, expecting her to be in the bathroom or getting ready, but she wasn't there. That's when I noticed the small, crumpled note she left on the table. It was typical Sarah, full of fake apologies and bland excuses. She said she wasn't feeling well, needed some air, and would be back before the ceremony. I was annoyed but didn't want to make a scene, so I just shrugged it off and started getting ready myself. But as the morning went on, things didn't add up. She kept dodging my calls, and I noticed her phone kept pinging with messages, strange texts from unknown numbers, and her attitude toward me was colder than usual. It was like she was already checked out. Then I saw her car at the hotel downtown. That was weird because she never really went there without telling me. I decided to check it out, maybe to see if she was just with friends. When I arrived, I saw her standing outside with Jard, my best man. The way they looked at each other made my stomach drop. They were close, whispering too intently, and she was laughing that sharp, bitchy laugh she always uses when she's trying to hide something. I got out of the car and approached them, trying to keep my voice steady, but my heart was pounding. Jard looked surprised, but Sarah just shot me a cold look, like she was caught in the act and didn't care. That's when I saw the small, almost innocent-looking hotel key she was holding in her hand. No wedding dress in sight, no bridal party, just her and Jard, and some sort of flirtation that felt like a punch to my gut. I didn't say anything right away. I just stood there watching them, feeling this sick mixture of anger and disbelief. How long had this been going on? Was this the reason she vanished earlier? Did she plan to do this on the day we were supposed to get married? My mind raced. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly, totally stupid for not seeing the signs. I had missed all the little clues, the way she'd been cold, her secretive phone habits, the late nights. And now, seeing her with Jard like that, I knew I'd probably been blind, or maybe I just didn't want to see what was right in front of me. That moment, staring at her with that cold, bitchy smile on her face, I realized she'd been planning this for a while. She always said she loved me, but I guess that was just a lie. I could feel my hands trembling, but I managed to hold myself back from exploding right then. I knew I needed to confront her, but I also knew that whatever came next, my life would never be the same. I'd been played, used, and betrayed at every level. And somehow I had to figure out what to do with this mess. After I saw her with Jard, everything felt like a blur. I didn't even know what to say or do. My first instinct was to walk away, to leave them there and process what I just witnessed. But that wasn't me. I couldn't just turn around and pretend I hadn't seen what was right in front of my face. So I took a deep breath and I called her name, loud enough to make her turn around. Her expression didn't change much. Just that smug, bitchy smirk that I'd come to hate over the years, like she was proud of her little secret. When I finally spoke, my voice was hoarse. "Sarah, what the hell is going on?" I couldn't hide the anger in my tone, and honestly, I didn't try. I wanted her to know I wasn't backing down. She looked surprised for a second, then she shrugged as if I was bothering her with my questions. "Calm down, Jack. It's not what you think." That's what she always said, even when she knew damn well what I saw was exactly what I thought, proof that she was cheating on me. I asked her directly, "Are you sleeping with Jard? Is that why you vanished this morning?" She rolled her eyes and gave me that bitchy laugh I'd come to loathe. "Oh, please, Jard and I are just friends, you're overreacting. Honestly, I don't even know why I bother explaining myself to you." And then she curled her lip, that irritating, dismissive sneer she always wears when she's trying to get under my skin. But I knew her game now. She was lying just like I suspected. Jard looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight, avoiding my eyes. I turned to him and said, "Really? You're just going to sit there and pretend you're not screwing my wife?" Jard stammered something about how it's not what it looks like, but I could see the guilt in his eyes. He didn't want to be there, and neither did she. That's when I realized this was more than just a fling. This was a carefully planned betrayal right before the biggest day of my life. I felt my fists clenching, but I kept my voice steady. "Sarah, I saw the hotel key in your hand, the texts on your phone. The way you're laughing with Jard like this is all some joke. Were you ever going to tell me? Were you planning to ruin everything from the start?" She crossed her arms, that smirk still on her face, and said, "Jack, you're so paranoid. You always overthink everything. I love you, but sometimes you just don't see what's right in front of you." That's when I lost it. I told her she was a bitch, that I was done trusting her, and that I was sick of her lies. The worst part was how calm she stayed, even with all my anger pouring out. She said I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic, and that I should get over myself. She accused me of not paying enough attention, of being too insecure, like she was the victim. But I knew better. I knew she'd planned this, that she'd been sneaking around for weeks, possibly months. Jard was just the pawn in her game, a tool to destroy what we had. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, and I was furious with myself for not seeing it sooner, for not stopping her. That night after she left me standing there, I felt numb. My mind kept circling around her lies, her sneering face, Jard's guilty look. I couldn't get the image out of my head, the way she'd looked at him, the way she'd casually lied to my face like she didn't care that I was hurt or humiliated. I thought about all the moments I'd trust her, the times I'd overlooked her bitchy attitude because I loved her. Now I was just furious. How could she do this? How could she betray me so ruthlessly, right before the wedding? It was like she'd been planning to destroy everything we built. And so I sat there in the dark, trying to process this chaos. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about what my next move should be. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand answers, to scream at her for the pain she caused. But another part just wanted to walk away, to forget this ever happened, to pretend it was all a nightmare. But I knew the truth. She'd already made her choice. She decided she was done with me. And Jard, her supposed best man, was part of her plan all along. The betrayal cut deep, and I wasn't sure I was ever going to get over it. The days that followed were a nightmare. I felt like I was waking up in a fog, every moment filled with this dull ache of betrayal that wouldn't go away. I kept asking myself if I was blind, if I had missed the signs, or maybe I just refused to see the truth because I loved her too much. But deep down, I knew I had to face reality. Sarah wasn't the woman I thought she was. She was manipulative, bitchy, and willing to destroy everything for some stupid affair with Jard. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to care how much she'd hurt me. I started to realize that she had always been a little bitchy, quick to dismiss my feelings, dismiss my concerns, and always putting herself first. Her lies, her sneering attitude, her constant nagging, I'd overlooked all that because I loved her. Or maybe because I was scared to admit I was being played. But now, after seeing her with Jard, all that bullshit fell apart. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid to ignore the signs. That morning when she vanished, I should have known then. She was planning something, I just didn't want to see it. In the aftermath, I tried to talk to her. I called her, messaged her, even showed up at her place. But she was cold, dismissing me like I was some annoying bug. She kept lying, saying she loved me, that she was sorry, that it was just a mistake, that Jard was just a friend. But I knew better. Jard and her, something was going on, and she didn't want to admit it. She kept spinning her web of lies, trying to make herself the victim, accusing me of being jealous or paranoid. One night I finally confronted her face to face. I told her I knew about the affair, about Jard, about the hotel and her sneaky texts, and her reaction. She snapped at me, called me crazy, and told me I was overreacting. She said she was entitled to her own life, that she deserved to have some fun, that I was just insecure. That was when I saw the bitchy side of her come out full force. She was so good at lying, so good at turning everything around on me. It was like talking to a wall of pure bullshit. I realized then she had no intention of stopping or even caring about the damage she'd done. By that point, I was emotionally drained. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. I felt humiliated, furious, and utterly betrayed. The woman I'd trusted and loved had been playing me all along, and I'd been too stupid or too blind to see it. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with Jard, that smug smile on her face, so convinced she was untouchable. I started to question everything about our relationship. Was I ever enough? Did I mean anything to her at all? Or was I just some placeholder while she was busy cheating with her best man? That's when I began to seriously consider what to do next. I knew I couldn't stay with her anymore. The wedding was off, obviously. I couldn't imagine walking down that aisle with her, pretending everything was fine. But part of me wanted revenge. Not just to hurt her back, but to make her realize the pain she caused. To show her I wasn't naive or weak. I needed to make her feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, and used. That's when the idea of a plan started forming in my mind. Something subtle, something sharp. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. Not without consequences. And so I started gathering evidence. The texts, the hotel receipts, her sneaky calls. I didn't tell anyone at first. I wanted to be sure, to have proof that I could use if I needed to confront her again or even walk away for good. I knew I wouldn't be able to trust her anymore, and that hurt worse than anything. The woman I'd loved, the woman I'd wanted to marry, had turned out to be a lying, sneaky bitch who was ready to throw everything away for a fling. I never thought I'd be one of those guys who'd get played like this, but here I was, broken and angry, trying to figure out how to come out of this alive. The more I thought about everything, the more I realized how deep her lies went. It wasn't just a brief affair with Jard. She'd been planning this for a while. The hotel, the texts, the secret calls, all carefully hidden until she thought she had everything in place. I started to piece together the timeline, and it hit me like a punch in the chest. She'd been cheating on me for at least a few months, maybe longer. The wedding date was just a convenient deadline for her to execute her plan and then vanish into her new life with Jard. I wasn't naive, but I also wasn't prepared for how cold and calculated she'd become. She'd always been bitchy and manipulative, but I never suspected she'd be this cruel. I wondered how I'd missed the signs, the little ways she'd been distant, her snipey attitude, the late-night texts on her phone I never paid enough attention to. It all added up now. I could see her behind all those lies, that bitchy sneer when she was trying to hide her guilt. She'd lied to my face so many times I'd started to doubt myself. That's the thing about a manipulative person. They make you question your own mind, your judgments. I decided I needed to confront her again, not just with anger but with proof. I wanted her to see that I knew everything. So I carefully collected all the evidence I could: screenshots of her messages, the hotel receipts from Jard's room, even some photographs I managed to sneak without her noticing. It was a sick feeling, knowing I was stalking her, but I needed to do it. I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I had to be one step ahead if I was going to get any kind of closure or justice. One evening, I sat her down in our living room, my heart pounding. I told her I had proof of everything, that I knew she'd been cheating on me, lying to my face, and planning her getaway with Jard. Her face twisted into that familiar bitchy sneer, like she was annoyed that I was ruining her perfect plans. She started with her usual lies: "You're overreacting. It's not what it looks like. Jard is just a friend." But I cut her off, showed her the messages, the hotel receipts, and asked her again, "Are you sleeping with Jard? Were you planning this from the start?" Her reaction was classic. She shrugged dismissively, rolled her eyes, and snapped, "You're paranoid. You don't trust me. You're insecure." That's what she always said whenever she was caught, trying to turn the tables, make me doubt myself, make me feel like I was overreacting. But I knew better. I knew she'd been lying to my face, and I was done playing her game. I wanted her to see that I knew everything, that I wasn't the fool anymore. The way she looked at me then, so bitchy, so dismissive, made me realize how much I'd been blinded. I'd been so in love with the idea of us with her that I ignored all the warning signs. I told myself she was just stressed or busy, but deep down, I knew she was planning her escape. It was like she wanted to leave me humiliated, publicly betrayed and broken, and I was just the idiot who didn't see it coming. That night I felt a strange mixture of relief and rage. I finally knew the truth, but it hurt like hell. I'd lost her, I'd lost my trust, and I'd lost that feeling of security I'd clung to. I started thinking about what this meant for my future. Was I going to forgive her? Could I? Or was it better to walk away and start over? I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew one thing: I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. I had to take control of my life, even if that meant letting go of everything I'd built with her. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't look at Sarah the same way. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I planned to marry, had been completely dishonest, and her bitchy, manipulative attitude only confirmed she had no remorse. She kept insisting she loved me, that it was all a mistake, that Jard was just a fling, but her words felt hollow. I saw through her lies now. She was good at spinning stories, but her eyes betrayed her. She was all about control, about hiding her true self behind that bitchy smirk and excuses. I decided I had to really think about what I was going to do next. I couldn't stay with someone who'd planned to destroy us. I started packing some of my things, thinking about moving out, maybe even going to stay with a friend for a while. I needed space to breathe, to clear my head, but part of me still wanted revenge. Not just to punish her, but to make her see that I wasn't some naive fool she could push around anymore. I was going to make her regret that she ever crossed me. The next morning, I made a list of everything I had gathered, the texts, receipts, photos, and decided I'd confront her one last time with everything laid out. I wanted her to see that I wasn't going to be played anymore, that I knew exactly what she'd done and how she'd tried to manipulate me. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, to finally understand the damage she'd caused. It wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake, but about her finally facing the consequences of her bitchy, selfish behavior. When I saw her that evening, she tried to act like everything was normal. She was still that bitchy, dismissive woman, but I was prepared. I told her I knew everything about Jard, the hotel, the texts. I told her I was done, that I couldn't be with someone so manipulative and dishonest. I told her she'd ruined us, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Her reaction: she rolled her eyes and said I was overreacting again, that I was just insecure, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. That's when I snapped. I pulled out the evidence, laid it all on the table, and told her she'd been caught red-handed. I told her she was a selfish, bitchy woman who only cared about herself, that I'd been blind but no more. And then I told her I was leaving permanently. I was done being her punching bag, her fool, her pawn in her little game. I realized I deserved better than someone who'd planned to destroy me for her own selfish pleasure. That night, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. I finally had the truth, and I was taking back control. It wasn't easy, but I knew I had to walk away from my own sanity. The betrayal cut deep, but I also knew I wouldn't let her win. I'd learned a hard lesson about trusting the wrong person, about ignoring the signs, and about how some people, especially bitchy ones like her, are capable of anything when they think they can get away with it. I was hurt, sure, but I was also stronger now, and I was ready to rebuild my life without the woman who had tried to destroy it. In the weeks that followed, I concentrated on picking up the pieces of my shattered trust. The pain was still there, but it gradually transformed into a cold resolve. I blocked her number, refused to let her manipulate me anymore. I moved out of the house into a place where I could breathe without the constant reminder of her bitchy smirk and lies. I knew I'd never forget what she did, but I also knew I had to forgive myself for trusting her for so long. That whole experience changed how I see relationships now. I learned that some people, women like Sarah, are capable of hiding their true colors until it's too late. They're manipulative, bitchy, and willing to destroy everything for their own selfish reason. I also realized that I'd wasted so much time trying to fix what was already broken. I should have walked away sooner, but I was blinded by love, or maybe just denial. Now I see clearly. Looking back, I can honestly say I've grown from this. I've become more cautious, more aware of the little signs that someone isn't who they pretend to be. I don't trust blindly anymore. And I don't let anyone treat me like I'm just some fool who can be easily played. I've learned to stand up for myself, to recognize when someone is masking their true intentions. That bitchy side of her. It was always there, just hidden behind her fake charm and bitchy attitude. I should have seen it sooner, but better late than never. As for Jard, I never really spoke to him again. I don't need to. He was just another piece in her game, just as much a victim of her manipulations as I was. I hope he got out of that mess, but honestly, I don't care anymore. My focus is on myself, the pain, the lessons, and the hope for a future where I won't be blindsided again. If there's anything I've learned from all this, it's that love isn't enough sometimes. Trust isn't something you should take for granted. And most of all, you have to know when to walk away before someone destroys you. I don't regret what happened. It hurt, but it made me stronger. Now I'm rebuilding my life, one step at a time, knowing that I deserve better than a bitchy, manipulative woman who only cared about her own selfish gain. I'll move on and I'll be more careful next time. Because after all the betrayal, I know one thing for sure: I won't get played again.